So Emily, you chose to do the question formulation technique in math.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Why did you decide to do that micro-credential?
So looking at math classes, I mainly collab in geometry-based classes and Algebra 2 with special education population. And so looking at that, our numbers are generally pretty high. We might have, let's say, 27 kids in the class and about 13 to 15 are special education population. So really wanted to find something that was impactful for my kids to look at new content and how to take it and put it into their terms and help them learn it more, and something that they can grasp quicker and easier rather than just the classic sit and get.
So what does an earner have to do if they want to do this micro-credential?
So there's three parts. The first part is they have to write a narrative format, explain that they understand QFT and all the portions of it. The second part is a video of them in a classroom going through all the QFT focus, their Q focus, and going through the lesson and working with the students and everything that goes along with that. And then the third part is another narrative format, looking at what QFT is and how their reflection on it and how it worked in the class, and maybe some data that they have and things of that nature.
So why do you think the question formulation technique was so powerful for your classroom?
Well, for my kids, looking back at our reflections especially, it's just something that it let them look at it in a different way. They were able to take it and put it into their own terms, and looking at just the Q focus and going off of that. If you look at the PowerPoint, you can see some of the Q focus types that we used. The one we used was triangle angles, and looking at having two angles and then having a missing angle. And what do we know about that? What can we draw on from what we knew previously about triangles and pulling that forward just for an example?
So there was one slide in the PowerPoint that I thought was incredibly important. What was some data that came from this experiment or this micro-credential?
So looking, and that data too came from looking specifically at the special education students and what their pre-assessment was. So we do like a bell ringer at the beginning of class. And so at that point, I'm pretty sure the number was 32% is what they got correct of the whole, that special education population. And then at the end of it, we had, I think it was 97 or 98% that were correct at that point. So it's a 65% increase. And it was just as impacting as it was hearing those numbers. And that's an average across 3 classes. That wasn't just one class, that was 3. And so for me, that was just speaks volumes for what it is for them. And looking at the reflections to follow up with it, kids who don't generally have a lot to say, that are more internal and don't say a whole lot unless you pull it out of them, and having those reflection post-its that we did at the end of it to show, hey, what made this work for you, what was different about it, and that was really huge for us.
So that's a really good segue to go into our final question, which is, let's reflect on the QFT in general, and also what do you expect that teacher to do within their reflection?
Well, in that reflection, they can really look at their data for one, and then also look at your students, and what the kids tell you is just speaks volumes. And using that going forward with other lessons, and using this whenever it is impactful for the kids, and not just every single day, but whenever it is just really a good, powerful lesson that you can use it with.
So why is this micro-credential a good form of PD?
Well, it's something that you can switch it up. You can use it across all content areas, and I know math is something that QFT has never really been utilized in before, but being from a math content area, it's something that can be used. You have to kind of pick your battle on what type of content you want to use it with. It's not going to work for everything, and we know that, but at the same time, the things that it will work for are really impactful for the kids, and it's just powerful.
I just have 2 things that I want to say with this. As someone from the outside coming in on this, one, I think the most powerful thing for me as an outsider observing all of this and watching you engage in this work was seeing how the dynamic of your classroom changed. When you incorporate student voice, we went, just like you said, from a very quiet, very passive class to a very active, and the student engagement and student learning went through the roof. And I think that was a really big thing for me. But I think on the other side of this, and I tell people this, even though I'm social studies, we have to use more words in math because we have so many kids that are sitting there that are not number oriented, and they've got to, and we have those kids. Me, for instance, I never got to talk enough in math. It was always be quiet and work this. So if we can really start to use more words, we're going to bring in more students and more populations, and everyone is going to be a math student.
Yes, yes.
Because everyone can be.
Right, everyone can be. And it's finding those certain components that kids thrive in, and if you give them that sense of confidence in one area, then they're going to take it forward and be like, well, maybe tomorrow I can do that. And it's those little things that make a big difference.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, you're going to have to cut that because half a second into it, I went right at Jennifer. So it's going to look like a dog.